Imagine waking up one day and realizing that the very thoughts you've been carrying are the chains holding you back. What if I told you there's a single mindset shift, just one, that could unlock everything you've been yearning for? Sounds too good to be true, doesn't it? But let me ask you this. How often do we doubt the extraordinary because we're too comfortable living in the ordinary? It's funny, isn't it, how we trust our fears more than our dreams? Stay with me, because by the time we're done, you'll see why this one shift could be the difference between a life that happens to you and a life you create. What if the only thing standing between you and the life you've always dreamed of is the way you see yourself? Imagine this. You're sitting in a car, the engine is running, the road ahead is clear, but your foot is firmly pressed on the brake. That brake is the victim mindset, and until you release it, you're going nowhere. It's scary to think about, isn't it? How much of your life is dictated by the stories you've been telling yourself, stories about what you can't do, what's been done to you, or what's simply not meant for you. But here's the truth. The only thing meant for you is the reality you're willing to create. And the first step? Shifting from a victim to a creator mindset. Let's be honest, playing the victim can feel strangely comforting. It's like wrapping yourself in a warm blanket of excuses. I can't succeed because my boss doesn't like me. I'll never find love because all the good ones are taken. Sound familiar? But here's the twist. This mindset isn't shielding you from harm, it's shielding you from your own power. And power, real power, starts with ownership. It's easy to blame the world, but here's a tough question. How much energy are you spending blaming others instead of building yourself? If that question stings a little, good. That's the discomfort of growth knocking on your door. Now, I know what you're thinking, but I've been through things you can't even imagine. And you're right. Life throws curveballs, and some of them hit hard. But here's where the creator mindset comes into play. It doesn't deny the challenges, it redefines them. A creator looks at every setback and asks, what's the lesson here? How can I use this? It's like turning lemons into lemonade, but on a cosmic scale. Think about it. If every obstacle is secretly a stepping stone, how differently would you approach your day? Would you still waste time complaining, or would you start looking for the opportunity hidden in the mess? Here's a funny thing. Our brains are like detectives, constantly looking for evidence to prove our beliefs. So, if you believe you're powerless, guess what? You'll find proof everywhere. But flip the script. What happens when you believe you're capable of creating change? Suddenly, you start noticing opportunities that were invisible before. It's not magic, it's focus. And focus, my friend, is a superpower most people never learn to harness. So let me ask you, what are you focusing on right now? Problems or possibilities? The shift from victim to creator isn't about pretending everything is perfect. It's about choosing to play a different role in the story of your life. Victims wait for a rescue. Creators build the rescue plan. Victims see the rain and complain. Creators see the rain and plant seeds. It's not easy, but it's simple. And here's the kicker. It's not a one-time decision. Every single day you get to decide, am I going to react or am I going to create? It's a question that once you start asking changes everything. You might be wondering, what if I fail? Well, let me stop you right there. Failure is only final when you decide to quit. And here's the irony. A creator mindset sees failure as feedback, not a finish line. Let that sink in. Imagine if, instead of fearing failure, you started chasing it, knowing that each stumble gets you closer to where you're meant to be. Scary? Yes, but also thrilling. Because when you're no longer afraid of failure, you become unstoppable. And don't worry, This shift doesn't require a complete personality overhaul. You don't have to become someone else. You just have to let go of who you're not. A victim mindset is not your identity. It's a habit. And like any habit, it can be broken. It starts with small, deliberate actions. Maybe it's setting a boundary you've been too afraid to set. Maybe it's taking responsibility for something you've been avoiding. Whatever it is, each step builds momentum, and momentum is the fuel of transformation. But let's not sugarcoat it. This journey will challenge you. You'll have moments where the victim mindset whispers in your ear, "See, this is why you can't." And that's where the real work begins. Because the creator mindset isn't about never hearing that voice. It's about choosing not to listen. Think of it like a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it gets. And over time, the voice of doubt gets drowned out by the roar of possibility. So what's holding you back? Maybe it's fear. Fear of failure, fear of judgment, fear of the unknown. But here's a secret. Fear doesn't go away. The creator mindset doesn't eliminate fear. It redefines it. Fear becomes a compass, pointing you toward the areas where growth is waiting. Imagine that. Every time you feel fear, it's not a warning to stop. It's an invitation to step forward. Can you see how powerful that is? And let me tell you, the world needs creators now more than ever. Think about it. Every innovation, every breakthrough, every act of courage started with someone who refused to play the victim. They faced the same doubts, the same fears, but they chose differently. What if you could be that person? What if the life you've been dreaming of is just one mindset shift away? What if I told you that every obstacle you've ever faced was never meant to stop you, but to shape you? Think about it. How often do we view challenges as barriers, when in reality, they're bridges waiting to be crossed? Imagine this. You're standing in front of a wall. Most people would see a dead end. But what if, instead, you saw a ladder? That shift, that simple reframe, is the essence of a growth mindset. And once you embrace it, every obstacle transforms into an opportunity. Sounds exciting, right? Or maybe a little intimidating. Good. That's the feeling of change knocking at your door. Let's face it, life doesn't come with a manual. It throws curveballs, challenges, and moments that make you question everything. But here's the secret. The obstacle isn't the enemy. Your mindset is. A fixed mindset looks at a setback and says, "This is proof I'm not enough." A growth mindset, on the other hand, sees the same situation and says, "What can I learn from this?" It's not about being overly optimistic or pretending everything is fine. It's about recognizing that the challenge is a teacher, not a tormentor. And here's the kicker. The lesson is only as powerful as your willingness to learn it. You might be thinking that sounds great in theory, but in real life, obstacles feel like mountains, and you're right. But here's a question. What if the mountain wasn't there to block your path, but to make you stronger? It's funny, isn't it? We train our bodies in the gym, pushing through pain to build muscle, yet we resist doing the same for our minds. A growth mindset is mental weightlifting. It's the ability to see failure not as an end, but as a step forward. And every step, no matter how small, builds resilience. So, let me ask you, what's the last challenge you faced, and how did you handle it? Did you grow, or did you stop? Here's the thing. Obstacles have a way of exposing who we really are. They don't just test us, they reveal us. And that's where the magic happens. A growth mindset takes what's revealed, the fear, the doubt, the struggle, and uses it as fuel. Think about the greatest achievers in history. They didn't succeed despite obstacles, they succeeded because of them. The growth mindset doesn't avoid the storm, it learns to dance in the rain. Imagine living a life where every challenge becomes a chance to get better. How different would your world look? And let's not forget the power of perspective. What if you stopped asking, "Why is this happening to me?" and started asking, "What is this teaching me?" That shift alone can change everything. Suddenly, life isn't something that happens to you, it's something you actively shape. Each setback becomes a setup for a comeback. Each problem becomes a puzzle waiting to be solved. It's not easy, but it's worth it. Because when you stop seeing obstacles as limits, you start to see them as opportunities. Opportunities to grow, to evolve, to step into the person you were meant to be.